Okay. Good evening. Today is Wednesday, February 25th, 2026, and this is the regular meeting of the Board of Education. The time is now 7:01, and I'm going to call this meeting to order. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. The American flag is to my right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. First item on our agenda is an adjournment to our executive session, item B1. Can I get a motion, please?
I move that we adjourn to executive session to discuss information relating to proposed, pending, or current litigation, collective bargaining negotiations, the employment history of particular persons, personnel matters and/or employee records, and matters deemed confidential by state or federal law, including seeking advice from counsel.
Second. It's been properly moved in second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. It's now 7:02 p.m. We will be adjourned until 8 p.m. Thank you. We good, Mr. Parker? Okay. All right, good evening. We are back from our executive session. The time is now 8:10 p.m. and we're going to return to our agenda. Next item on our agenda is C1, student voice, student public comment. I do not see the dais. Do you know, where's the dais? Down? Oh, okay. It was up there before, I think. Okay. First on our agenda, from R.J. Bailey, we have Miss Kayla Dawson from 5th grade. Is she here this evening? I can't see anything.
Good evening. My name is Kayla Dawson, and I'm a student at Richard J. Bailey Elementary School. Before I begin, I would like to say thank you for letting me speak tonight. I'm here to share what the student experience is like at RJ Bailey. We have great teachers who make learning fun through small groups, projects, and fun learning games. We get to enjoy classes like home and careers, art, PE, music, and library. I love when I get to express myself through science projects and chatting with my friends over new food labs that Mrs. Parker introduces to us during her home and careers. Now, in addition to all of these great experiences, I would like to make a few suggestions. First, we should offer more culturally diverse lunches. In this school, there are many different nationalities of people all over the world, so including foods from their culture will help everyone feel more welcome. Next, recess. Recess is a time to spend with your friends, enjoy yourself, and release all your energy. On days when we don't go outside, there are times when we can't release that energy because we are in the iLab or the music room. We should try other indoor activities that would allow us to release that same amount of energy on those indoor recess days. My suggestion is board games or class games like 7-Up. This can all be handled by creating a student council that can vote on new ideas. Before I end, I would like to mention that our committee, No Place for Hate, has made our school a better and safer place for all of us. Thank you for listening. We love our school and want to help make it even better.
Thank you, Ms. Dawson, come back to the mic. We might have some questions for you. I know I have one. Thank you. That was very well thought out. Does the board have any questions, comments, anything? Student council is a great idea. Are you interested in leadership at some point? Wonderful. You have some wonderful ideas, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, she was great. Next, I'm sorry, Trustee Jacobson, did you have? I didn't check with you, I'm sorry. Next we have Woodlands Middle High School, Mr. Bryce River Rodriguez from 8th grade.
Good evening, Superintendent Chisholm and the Board of Education. My name is Bryce Rodriguez, and I'm in the 8th grade at Woodlands. One thing I love about Woodlands is its diversity, not just in the student body, but in all that it has to offer. From clubs to sports, there is something for everyone. I myself am grateful for the Woodlands swim team. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Do we have any questions, comments? No? Well, thank you very much, and we hope to see you soon. Okay, next on our, yes, that's great. Next on our agenda is C2, public comment, and are there any public commenters? No? Okay. We will go forward to C3, Woodlands Middle High School presentation. So every regular meeting, we have presentations from different schools, and tonight is Woodlands Middle High School. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Mr. Matthew Smith. Do we go down? Do you have a? Yeah? Okay.
Sure, come on down. What? You're going to do some of those lights too, right, Luke? Check. I guess we'll go two mics.
No.
I'll just need like a couple seconds delayed if I get a question. Okay. If you want a question on your phone. Okay. If you want to call it or if you have any questions or not for you. Okay, that sounds good. Thanks. Oh, cool. Thank you.
Oh, awesome. Okay. All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and to our Board of Education, thank you for allowing us to take time to present a wonderful Woodlands Middle High School and what we're doing here. Matt Smith, Principal of Woodlands Middle High School, joined by my team over here, Mrs. Veronica Henriquez, who are Assistant Principal of the Middle School, Mrs. Cannon, our Assistant Principal of the High School, and Mr. Jason Head, our Dean of Climate and Culture. So as you know, we have more snow coming this way, and we're looking to have a few more snow days, and so do your snow dance tonight. So we have a couple more days off, and go to school until June 15th this year. July 15th this year. There we go, Luke, thank you. As you know from other Board of Ed presentations, Dr. Chisholm has clearly set our vision, mission, motto, and tagline. We are soaring together for a greater Greenburgh. So we have one unified vision, and we're truly in vertical alignment from ECP all the way through Woodlands Middle High School. The district strategic plans, again, Dr. Chisholm developed these 4 buckets for us: student success, operational excellence, attracting and retaining talent, and responsive relationships. We're going to go over each pillar as we present. Student success, what does that look like at Woodlands Middle High School? Okay. Our SMARTY goal, by June 2026, Woodlands Middle High School teachers will continue to intentionally implement productive student discourse, engage in meaningful reflection on effective strategies, and identify challenges to guide ongoing academic growth for students. Our end-of-year targets for June 2026, we are looking to have a graduation rate greater than 95%. We really think we can get there, and we'll go over on the next slide to show our monitoring strategies. Increase our region's passing rate by 15%. Increase intermediate scores, which intermediate scores are for middle school, 7th and 8th grade, ELA math in 8th grade, science. We're utilizing our ready scores. 85% of students will demonstrate proficiency and growth with our focus on our E&L and classified students. We really have to move the needle with that population. So we're gonna monitor, we review our quarterly report card data and credit accumulation to monitor our on-track status towards graduation. Based on our first semester, we have about 93% of students that are currently on track to graduate, our seniors. We look to, again, increase that to reach that number of 95 or greater. We'll do that by having credit recovery programs for certain students that need to recover credits that aren't doing well or did not do well in previous years. So right now, we have currently 6 students enrolled in credit recovery program, and they are progressing through. 3 of them are, 3 still need a little bit more encouragement. So we really hope we get to that 95%. All of our content area teachers have now developed midterms that are in alignment with Regents assessments. So our students are now familiar when they sit down to take the Regents assessment of what they're going to be faced with. So that really helps us prepare for June. So that's why we're confident to say that we will increase by 15% with students passing the Regents. We administer our iReady test for grades 7 through 12, used for universal screening to identify Tier 2 and Tier 3 MTSS decisions, which we'll discuss in a minute with Ms. Cannon. Correlation of data to determine and develop intervention strategies, MTSS. Homework help. We provide homework help now during the day if students are doing well. It's lunch and learn. You get your lunch, come learn with the teachers. We really have to build up your foundation. And reentry meetings, which Mr. Head holds, where every student that is out of school for a while, whether it's disciplinary or whether it could be medical, he holds reentry meetings and student support monitoring. So for our MTSS and our chart, Ms. Cannon would just go through the chart to explain to you what we're doing.
So we're in the process of norming our MTSS process a little bit this year. We've introduced a point system, which is an iterative process, right? So as we start to make it work, we'll see things that need to adjust, and we're trying to be responsive to those needs. So we're looking at several data points for students. We're looking at iReady, we're looking at report card data, we're aligning those 2 points, and then identifying and developing interventions for those groups of students based on those points. One of the things that I need the clicker. One of the things that you might have seen in one of the newsletters, which is on the next slide. Thanks. Sorry. One of the things that has come out of this process is thinking through how to support students during the day, because sometimes some of the students who are needing support are not the same students who have time or are going to stay after school. And so we thought that it would be wise to figure out a way to support them further during the day. And so therefore, we systematically looked at the opportunities we had and changed around the duty periods for teachers to provide the homework help that Mr. Smith was just discussing. So now during every lunch period of the day, there is a certified teacher that's available to provide homework help support to those students, and teachers have reorganized duty periods in order to be able to provide more systematic outreach to families. Again, this is an implementation process, so we are reaching out to individual students with individual invitations to that homework help, which they're stoked about. But as we develop these systems, more and more interventions will be responsive to student need. In some cases, they require systematic change, which means it takes a little bit longer.
So in addition, our focal point is productive student discourse. We have IB, AP, review sessions after school, also during lunchtimes, iReady diagnostic testing, PLC, BLC, which we began this year, or re-implemented, I should say, this year, which is comprised of every bargaining unit in the building. We sit, we discuss, usually from about 2:45 to 3:10. Any concerns that's going on in the building, we address them immediately. So we're all on the same page. That helps us build culture, climate and culture in the building. We have our bi-weekly meetings with our lead teachers. We do walkthroughs regularly. Also, lead teachers do walkthroughs in classes. Our PLC-LT team, which is a district-wide team, we have guided visits to make sure that we're all implementing the same process when delivering instruction. High school data meetings and TWR and BOY and MOI. And for our learning targets.
Hi, good evening. So for our learning targets, it's an initiative that started this year. And as you probably have heard from the other schools, the learning target works very hand in hand also with the students. So a learning target helps the teacher identify what the student she wants or he wants the student to learn, how they're going to learn it, and how she or he is able to assess the students at the end of that class quickly on what he or she needs to reteach the next day or how to help the students. On the students' end, it's mostly the students also are more engaged in their learning process because now they are involved in knowing this is what I'm going to learn, which leads to an increase in success rates if they know what they're doing. Like, for example, yourselves. If you know why you're doing something, you want to take the initiative. So on the learning targets, our teachers are actively doing this inside all their classrooms in every single department. And as you could see, there are some examples from the English department and the E&L department of the learning targets that are present. Productive student discourse. If you remember last year, we started to increase student discourse, and we did it through SEL. And we had the Feel Good Fridays, in which made the students feel comfortable with their teachers, also have a trusted adult for them. So now this year, we have moved on to productive student discourse, and there's different instructional strategies that we are using within the classes. And SEL, we can never forget SEL, social emotional learning. When it comes to SEL, these are just some examples of how we are incorporating it on a daily basis here at Woodlands Middle High School.
I have to just point out the bottom right, that's Eli Cinco, our senior singer. He actually sang in the National Youth Choir for the Today Show, which was a nationally televised event. So we're really proud of Eli singing there at homecoming. Operational excellence. By June 2026, Woodlands Middle High School will continue to identify clear learning targets to align curriculum vertically, develop common assessments across departments, plan clear weekly PLC agendas, transparently communicate with parents, all aligned to improve student outcomes. That is why we are here, to improve student outcomes. End of year targets, we want to increase parental involvement by 40%. I know some of you sitting there saying, wow, that's a big number, but honestly, it really isn't. If you think of the PTSA meetings, we may have 20 parents, maybe. So 40% of 20 is 8. Not a big number. We need more parental involvement. That's the real way we move Woodlands Middle High School forward. I know we appreciate the Board of Education, you guys volunteer, but if you can just get a neighbor or two to come out, we really appreciate it even more. Develop proactive preventions and early intervention strategies to reduce online referrals. Dean Head will talk about that in a few minutes. 15% reduction in chronic absenteeism through increased frequency of attendance meetings. Increase our IB-DP offerings and finalize a 2026-2027 master schedule. Continue to develop built-in interventions blocks for students.
So monitoring strategies as we work through these. Weekly newsletters sent to parents, providing them with pertinent information. Send parents friendly reminders of upcoming meetings. Mediation meetings with students to resolve misunderstandings and micro conflicts. Proactively meet with parents, students, and PPS teams to review attendance grades and the correlation. Routinely contact parents and conduct home visits of students that are frequently absent, and review MTSS student data. These are some of the examples of the things we were doing to align ourselves to those strategies and those monitoring things that we're seeing on the slide before. To the top left, student attendance assistance sheets. We give those to students who are struggling with their attendance, whether it be getting to school for the day or to their classes during the day. Attendance isn't only just them missing the school for the day, but it's also maybe missing a class where they should be there in that class learning. So we hand these out to students who are struggling. We link them to an adult in the building who is going to be monitoring and working that student closely to making sure that sheet is filled out completely. Every period, every teacher, comments, seen by parents, signed, brought back, new sheet for a select period of time. The plan design on the bottom, that's one of our welcome back sheets we use. We have a few different ones that we use depending on the situation we find ourselves in, or we're working to support the struggling student. This one is behavioral, so it's interventions and responses to a situation that a student may have had. It's hard to see, but that bottom is a list of things that may have happened and what we are doing to connect them to support within the building. On the right side, we see information that goes out to parents in addition to the newsletter from Mr. Smith, specifically our Senior of the Week, where we highlight one of our seniors and the great things that they're doing here at Woodlands.
Yeah, so the newsletter on the right-hand side, I'm sure you receive it every Friday. It contains all pertinent information of what is happening at Woodlands Middle High School, upcoming activities, and we always like to highlight our Seniors of the Week. Attract top talent. By June 2026, Woodlands Middle High School will continue to foster a collaborative, professional community grounded in mutual respect, protect instructional time, which is very important, promote meaningful professional development aligned with school and district goals, and actively strengthen recruitment efforts by partnering with universities and utilizing our alumni network. Woodlands Middle High School has an extremely deep alumni network, and I have to appreciate WISE, because a lot of times students come back, alumni that are involved in WISE, they come back and we realize that we can utilize them in some way, shape, or form to help our current students. So we really appreciate the WISE program. But we will continue to foster. I don't want to present this slide saying we do not have top talent here. I believe we do have top talent here. We want to retain that top talent that we currently have. So all IB teachers, IBDP teachers will continue training, attend pertinent workshops, and join the IB exchange group. All other IB teachers, NYP and DP, they participate in workshops and conferences. Building leadership team. It's very important. You know, it continues to build culture here at Woodlands Middle High School. So we'll continue to expand by increasing the number of teachers participating. We want to increase lead teacher peer observation, learning walks, and utilize our E&L and special education teachers more efficiently to provide scaffolding strategies to students that will benefit all students. We do not utilize our special educators enough. We're trying to pull them out more to present in faculty meetings and E&L. They provide wonderful scaffolding strategies that can help every student in the building, so they're very important to us. Is this you? I mean, we will work collaboratively with a district director of global learning, which is Dr. Faruqi, for our IB pieces. Continue transparent communication with GTF to encourage involvement. That is our Greenburgh Teacher Federation. We work well with our Greenburgh Teachers Federation. We often meet to discuss any issues before it rises to the level of any grievances. Routinely review systems for visits to occur during duty periods. So a teacher has a duty period, you know, we encourage them to go see one of their colleagues, just sit in the class, they could pick up a strategy or two. E&L special educators regularly update their shared Google Classroom. So they have a shared Google Classroom that has some scaffolding strategies in there that is shared with the entire Woodlands Middle High School staff. So they regularly update that. And then, again, our E&L special educators present at faculty meetings to provide support strategies, which all of our students need here. This is a picture of a few of our top talents here. Well, the upper left, they're very talented in the upper left. That happens to be Halloween, they're having a good time here. So at Woodlands Middle High School, you know, our faculty, we really have a great time here. Mr. Holland was honored, Mr. Tokarski there, upper, I guess, first quadrant, upper right. Mr. Washington there's also had Sam Washington Day recognized. And down the bottom left, we have our faculty breakfast we had for the faculty just to celebrate who we are. And the bottom right is Mr. Leo and Mr. Moon took our kids on the trip. Responsive relationships. By June 2026, Woodlands Middle High School will increase student voice in the classroom through productive student discourse, reduce absenteeism, and continue to strengthen parent partnerships. End of the year goal, we will attend and present at PTSA meetings, celebrate student achievement and academic growth. We were supposed to have our middle school honor roll assembly this morning, but since our delay, we had to postpone it until Friday, but tomorrow we will be celebrating our high school honor roll. Increase attendance rates, Mr. Head is working very hard on that. He's also working hard on decreasing behavioral issues by having those conversations prior to it escalating. Identify a trusted adult for every student and reentry conferences. Like I mentioned, our honor roll assembly, senior of the week, we have every Friday. Our seal of civic readiness and seal of biliteracy, review and continue to utilize EOS, Equal Opportunity Schools, which we had here 2 years ago. They created a survey for us, which highlighted which students felt which teacher was a trusted adult. So we continue to review that survey and remind those staff members, you were one of the trusted adults, we need you more actively involved. And those that were not, we need you to get involved. So that survey still helps us to this day. Re-entry template encourages students to identify trusted adults in the building. Mr. Head goes over that. When students are re-entering into the building from a suspension or from a medical issue or concern, it's on the template, asking them, who do you have in the building as a trusted adult? So if something's going on, you may direct your concern to that adult. It may be, one of our cafeteria workers, a custodial worker, GCSO member, GTF member, GAO member, but as long as we have a trusted adult that a student can go to, we can handle any situation that may arise. Ms. Enriquez, I think it's your slide. Okay, all right. Just some examples of responsive relationships, some of our teachers here, and of course our wonderful students just having a great time with themselves and their peers. Oh, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Are there any questions from the Board of Education members? Trustee Warner has a question. Trustee Valen, can you share? Thank you.
Okay, very good. So I'm really pleased to see that we're out of COVID now, right? Okay, so we're back to, the engine is starting to turn at higher RPMs. So I'm thrilled to death with that. I'd like you to boast a little more about IB if you want. I'm also curious about iReady in grades 7 through 12. You said use it as a screening tool. Could you do that, go over that in a little more detail?
So let's talk about IB first, IBDP. What we realized, I think it's group 6, where we only offered music and art. So some of our students are not artists, and we realized that we're kind of losing that group. So this year, with the approval of Dr. Njoko and Dr. Chisholm, we're able to now, next year in our course catalog, to offer a dance class and a business management class. So when we say IB for all, we want to attract all of our students to take an IB course. They might not get the diploma. We totally understand it as a rigorous path to take, but at least we want to introduce them to a rigorous course. So we are expanding our IB offerings. In such a small school, it's phenomenal, especially if you look at the percentage of diploma candidates that we have compared to schools that are 3 to 4 times the size of us. Mm-hmm. Percentage-wise, they can't stack up against us. We do extremely well with the number of DP candidates we have.
Great, and iReady streaming?
Yeah, so iReady, this year we offered it grades 7 through 12. We were able to identify those students that are deficient in some areas. Those students that iReady was 7 through 10, the 11th graders are now taking it. So if they're deficient, usually those same kids are the ones that need a Regents exam to pass. So we're able to provide them support.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions from trustees? Trustee Sampalayo.
Thank you for the presentation first. In Pillar 4, the responsive relationships, can you just provide some examples on the process of making sure, of identifying one trusted adult for every student? Like how is that being looked at or monitored, or identifying the students that don't have somebody?
Dean, you want to talk about your reentry? How you get, and then I'll talk about how we are doing it in general.
Yeah, so for our reentry for students, either you're coming back to the building for whatever reason, there's a myriad of reasons why students have, been absent or have not been with us. When we meet with the student and the parent and our PPS staff, or that student's support team. So guidance counselor, social worker, psychologist, a lead teacher, if they're available at the time, another teacher who might be close to the student, and administration. And when we speak to the student and we speak to the parent, we lean on their expertise. They know their student better than we do, and to see who they are comfortable with. And if they don't have somebody, we can make suggestions. We make introductions and see if they're comfortable with speaking with that person. Sometimes they say sure, because I like to be amenable, and they start with that person, and maybe that person doesn't work out, but we check in with them as their days go on. We usually do that with two people, either a trusted adult in the building, and then depending on the situation, a school psychologist, a school guidance counselor, or social worker. So we really like to connect two people to each student when we can, depending on the situation. A trusted adult, meaning anybody in the building, like Mr. Smith said, a school cafeteria worker, a social worker, a guidance counselor, a teacher, teacher's aide, somebody in the building that's here daily that can be of assistance if they need it. But then depending on the situation, in more extreme circumstances where more help is needed, a social worker, psychologist, or guidance counselor, we link them. So at the end of the day, they have two. So that way if somebody's out, they can find somebody there to help.
Yeah, and additionally, any student that we see, the beauty about Woodlands, you know who the kids are, right? And walking down the hallway, you can look in their face if they're having a good day or a bad day. If they're having a bad day, we pull them to the side. Usually we get them to go to PPS, Pupil Personnel Services, whether it's a social worker, guidance counselor, or school psychologist. They have an initial conversation, and then in that conversation, they usually ask the student, well, who do you talk to here? And they tell the kids, well, what adult do you have a conversation with? And sometimes it could be even a school monitor. That's how we're able to identify them. Now, are we able to identify 100% of the students a trusted adult? No, we haven't been able to do that yet. Well, any kid in crisis or any kid that we see may have having a bad day, then we're at least able to kind of start the process with those students.
Okay, are there any?
I'm going to follow
Trustee
up
Bowling.
on that a little bit. I'm glad you mentioned the EOS survey. Another key finding of that was a lot of students, not to mention others that were surveyed, mentioned belonging as a key issue for them. So alongside the trusted adults, are we following up to, if we brainstormed a bunch of ideas a couple of years ago, things like buddy systems. We had the old, I won't say the name because you don't like the name, another program that got students together. Are we identifying kids to make sure that everybody's involved in at least one extracurricular or co-curricular so that we can help foster that sense of belonging?
Well, we try to encourage students to get involved at Woodlands because we think it's very important just for their maturation process, right? We offer a plethora of clubs that's kind of unheard of for such a small school. I mean, anything you want here, we have it. If we don't have it, if you get 10 of your friends or 9 of your friends, then we can have the club as long as you have 9 of your friends and a advisor. So we are trying to encourage students to get involved, but also we need parental help sometimes. A lot of times some kids just want to come here and go home, and those are kids we kind of say, hey, why don't you try this club or try that activity? And they get involved. Like esports? Kids are having a phenomenal job with they're having a great time in esports. We might be partnered with, I don't want to say it live on the mic, okay. All right, so something's coming down the road in esports, but we're trying, to get kids involved. We definitely want to make them feel like they belong. I think all of the admin team, we always speak to every single kid, no matter who they are. We have conversations with them to make them feel like at least we see them. It's very important that they feel seen. I think we do a good job at Woodlands Middle High School. Our teachers do a phenomenal job, and our monitors, I think they don't get enough kudos. The monitors do a phenomenal job with making kids feel welcome. You'll be surprised how many kids have a relationship with our school monitors. But we have to do a better job also.
And then because we are a 6 through 12 building, again, this was thrown out a couple times by different parent groups as far as setting up some sort of buddy system From, 7 through 12.
I
Oh,
thought
my
you were throwing
goodness.
another grade. I said,
I'm
listen.
so sorry. 7 through 12, my brain is working too fast. Yes.
So I know, Ms. Enriquez, you want to talk about the buddy system that you had for 26, 27 school year that you're thinking about implementing? I think that's what Trustee Valley is asking.
So a couple of years ago when I was teaching here, I was part of My Brother's Keeper, and one thing that did work was having seniors pair them off with the incoming 7th graders. So what we're looking for the 6th graders coming in next year, I usually meet Rossi, and we go through the students, and we review the students' list before they come in here. So I was thinking we're going to review it also this year, and then pair off with some seniors so they come in their first day, and that senior is going to be walking around with the little one, the 6th grader, or the incoming 7th grader. So that's something that we have, so at least they have somebody. The good thing is how Matt mentioned before, a lot of our students know each other because they have older siblings, so there is already that relationship, but we thought that goes along with also an additional trusted individual in the building. Okay.
And again, the beauty of being such a small school, like the kids become like surrogate brothers and sisters. They kind of know each other from pre-K all the way up. So that also helps us.
Okay, is there any other questions by any trustees? Trustee Along?
First off, thank you to you and your team for your presentation. It was very nice. I'm very happy to see the SMART goals in here. And so my question to you is twofold. Have you established a dashboard for all of these SMART goals and written down your baselines so that when it comes to the end of the year report out that we can actually see the progress?
So no to the dashboard, yes to the baseline. Ms. Cannon is data-driven, so she's a valuable asset to the team. She has data reports left and right, so we do have our baseline established. So by June, we'll see if we hit our mark.
Are there any other trustee questions? Trustee Jacobson, I don't want to leave you out. Oh, you're good? Okay. So, Mr. Smith, I did have a question. I just wanted to know how those cell phones were going.
I got it, Dean. We'll go. The cell phones, after the holiday break, it was an uptick. I guess people got new cell phones for the holiday, so they were excited about that. However, we're still confiscating phones when they come out, and the parent has to come and get them. So it's been a challenge. Everyone had the new, what do you call those things? Beats headphones after the holidays on their head. So, we had to remind students the first week, like, listen, we know you knew, it's new, it's exciting, that's it. After the first week, they're back, but now they're on, we confiscate headphones, cell phones, they're out. We're here to learn.
Okay, great. Another thing I did want to ask about, I got called about again over the break and asked by a parent about the bathroom usage. Has you guys consolidated what you're going to do with the bathrooms and the access to that?
Yeah, so we've taken the student voice into consideration, and what we did was we've refocused where our school monitors are throughout the day to make sure we have coverage. Now that does get challenging when we have monitors out or we do have to send monitors to other buildings to cover. So we do our best to cycle through the floors and make sure we're covered not only for the bathrooms and making sure that those are open when students are available to use them or when they're available to students to use them, but also to make sure that our floors are covered and our teachers are supported as well as our students. So it's just a balancing act of making sure that we have our bathrooms covered so that they're ready to be used for our students, but also make sure the rest of our school is covered as well.
And I have to say, and thank you to Dr. Chisholm. She actually walked the building with me to see how the bathroom's working, Ms. Maris. And on the 3rd floor, we have a high percentage of female teachers, and they're not allowed to use student bathrooms. Teachers cannot go in student bathrooms. So they have one bathroom at the end of the hallway, and sometimes it's a log jam with the teachers. So the only time we're able to go in there is if we have like the 10-10 rule that we ensure no kid is in there when a staff member uses the bathroom. So the bathrooms it's a challenge here. It is a challenge. But the kids are adaptable, kids are resourceful, flexible, and if they need to use a bathroom, unfortunately they may have to come from the second floor to the third or second to the first, but we'll let them use the bathroom. We'll never not let a student use the bathroom.
Okay, great. I always ask this every year, and it's budget season. Your presentation always comes up around that time. Is there anything that the Board of Education can do to help support Woodlands Middle High School?
No, I think the board and central office is doing a phenomenal job supporting us. I mean, we need some structural, there's some structural issues here that have to be addressed, but I think we're all aware of that, and there's a financial component to getting that done. I'm excited that tennis courts are done, our track field is done, we're getting new science labs. These are exciting things, we're really starting to kind of come to fruition. We're starting to brand, I don't know if you saw, we have Woodlands kind of on the wall everywhere, so we're branding the school. So I think we're moving in an upward trajectory, and we appreciate it.
We have the sign out front that...
Yes, the digital sign.
Digital sign,
looks
thank
great.
you.
Actually, one of our students designed the Canva. One of our seniors, she designed the Canva presentation there and presented to myself and Luke, and we got it up.
Okay, great, thank you. Last question, I'm so sorry, because we talked about the sign. How do we update that? A trustee actually asked me that recently. How do people update and get the newest things on those digital signs?
So request usually comes through me, and I go to Luke, and unfortunately he has to actually physically go out there and I think plug in. That's another conversation I think you want to have. You want to?
Yeah, so just real quick, the sign, we're slowly getting to more and more remote, and it should be up and running soon that it can be remotely accessed. Currently, it can be accessed from ECP, so I don't have to go into the snow and climb over snow drifts and stuff. Yeah, it's slowly going to be remote, and then soon we'll have people access it soon. Okay.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, any other questions, trustees? No? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, thank you.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda, I think we stay down here, right? Yeah, I see Miss Merrill moving, is our budget presentation. And that will be with Miss Merrill, and she is getting herself ready. Thank you to the middle high school administration. We will see you guys in the morning for the honor roll ceremony.
Thank you. All right, as Luke cues us up, I just want to say good evening, President Mayors, Board Trustees, community, those listening in the online. So we are going to present our second budget development presentation. We want to welcome everyone to this budget presentation. This will be a shared presentation between myself, Ms. Shonda Merrill, our Assistant Superintendent for Business, and you'll also hear from Dr. Njoku, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, and Mr. Kevin Hanratty from Human Resources, our Executive Director of Human Resources. There we go. All right. So our budget process, once again, is anchored by our vision to be a high-performing district that prepares students as global citizens, especially being an IB district. So this year, we're focused on our SOAR pillars: student success, operational efficiency and excellence, attracting top talent, and responsive relationships. And these pillars ensure every decision we make is aligned with our commitment to excellence and equity here in Greenburgh Central Schools. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you. So The budget decision-making process, again, this is a slide that we shared the first time, but we just want to make sure we go through it. You can never say things enough. But again, all the budgetary recommendations for the next school year, 2026-27 school year, will be evaluated through a consistent decision-making lens centered on the following for student outcomes and fiscal responsibility. So again, students first, we are a teaching and learning organization, strategic alignment, equity and access, fiscal stewardship and sustainability, our obligations and compliance, taxpayer responsibility. And so to ensure accountability, we want to evaluate every recommendation through a specific lens. Our priorities are putting students first, maintaining fiscal stewardship and sustainability. All these things in order to make sure that we're remaining responsible to our taxpayers. So I know we just saw this slide, if you wouldn't mind advancing. Earlier with the high school, yes. No, keep going. There you go, because now start rolling in. So this budget is the financial expression of our strategic plan. We align our 5 primary goals, ranging from student success to infrastructure and communications, with our SOAR pillars. For example, student success drives our instructional, staffing, and curriculum resources, while operational excellence focuses on facilities and transportation. So that's just a quick preliminary overview. What we'll now do is I'll have Dr. Ogechi Njoku and Mr. Kevin Hanratty come up to discuss the preliminary enrollment and staffing data for 26-27.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Good evening. So we're turning to preliminary enrollment and staffing data because, as we know, this directly informs both the space planning and personnel decisions. So in decision making, right now the current and projected student enrollment are crucial for making informed budget decisions. We have 2 questions each year. So these were the same questions we asked last year, they're no different. Physical space, are school facilities equipped to accommodate the number of students we expect? So basically, by analyzing these enrollment trends, we can assess whether or not additional classrooms are needed, specialized spaces, if we need facility upgrades or changes. And then the second question is around personnel. Do we have enough certificated staff to meet the growing needs of our students? So if the projected enrollment indicates an increase, we would need to identify FTEs, which are full-time equivalent staffing, required to maintain optimal student-to-teacher ratios and ensure high-quality instruction. Again, this guides our decisions regarding staffing levels and hiring needs. So here we have the preliminary data. Just as a note, this preliminary data is gathered from different sources, but primarily from beds data, internal data, review of preliminary expectations from our special education area, as well as our E&L population needs. I'm pausing to give everyone time to digest the numbers. These numbers are comparing 2026 enrollment this year to the projection for next year. I'm sure what is seen immediately is the change of minus 20 students in LF Jackson, and that comes from the enrollment from the pre-K. It's pre-K enrollment that creates a decrease. So there's the pre-K in addition to the current kindergarten students is combined 20 less than last year. So I'm going to complete the slide and then questions at the end, correct? All right. So overall, the district enrollment is projected to decrease slightly by 31 students, so that's 1.85% change from previous year. What we did is we did rollover numbers, rolling over from one grade to the next, and also the projections for incoming pre-K students into kindergarten. Okay. Now we break down into looking at the actual programming needs sections, which are the classes. How many classes do we need based on the student enrollment programmatic needs, right? So this is not just the number of students, this is what do those students actually need to determine the classes that are necessary. So with universal pre-K and our pre-K system, it pretty much stays the same. So our UPK numbers maintain at 65. That's why we have the lottery system. And then we typically have 45 spaces for Head Start and around 29 or so, around 29 spaces for special education. And that usually stays the same. At the very last column, you'll see the question based on our initial, question that we have, which is there sufficient physical space? So as we see with UPK, yes, there is sufficient space. We utilize, we have to maintain 4 classes, 4 sections, but then we have 5 additional classes that our current ECP main building cannot accommodate, thank you. So that's why we typically utilize LFJ and Highview schools, all right? So that's why that's there. And then looking at Lee F. Jackson, we do have sufficient space. You'll see that the kindergarten, 5 sections are needed for next year. Grade 1, we estimate that 5 sections are needed. There's no difference, but then when you look at the programs for the special education class, 4 classes are needed, and we do have sufficient space. Okay. And in this, so that everyone's aware, both the board and those listening and the public, special ed refers to self-contained classes. So those special education students that are in the combined integrated classes that have both general ed and special ed are incorporated in the kindergarten and grade 1 classes. Now we're moving to Highview, our grade 2-3 building, as well as R.J. Bailey, our 4-6 building. And as we look at the numbers, there are some shifts slightly, but it's moderate shifts. And all of them communicating, is there sufficient space? It's a yes. Okay, almost done.
Dr. Njoku, I don't want to interrupt your presentation, but I do have questions about the numbers and how you're getting the numbers. For example, the grade 2 100 student enrollment last year, you're projecting losing 7 students for grade 3. Is that how that's how I'm looking at it? Maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but.
So when you look at the numbers, if you add the numbers up, the difference could be, what you're looking at is the programmatic needs of those students. So the grades 2-3.
So grade 2 in 25-26 is 100. Grade 3, same students in my head, is 93 in 26-27.
Mm-hmm. So it is less general education and combined. I don't want to get technical, but yes, generally speaking, there's less students in that grouping, but you see that there are increase of 13 students in the combined self-contained classes, grade 2-3.
Okay, so is that where those students, I guess I'm trying to understand the process of.
So rolling over, so students are rolling over, so now you're receiving grade 1 students from LFJ are going to Highview. They might have some programmatic needs in 2nd grade that place them in self-contained.
Gotcha.
I don't have the actual details, but that's what, based on this, that could be the issue. So the first slide spoke to enrollment, just numbers of students. This is now incorporating the program needs of those students, which might shift because they're rolling over, some are rolling over into a new building.
Got it, thank you.
No problem. And that would be the same thing with grades 4-6. The shift there is that if you see the movement of the students in grades 4 going to Grade 5, they still need six sections, so those students are moving there. And grade 5, moving to grade 6, those students are moving there. And then the incoming students, we only need 5 sections for them. Okay? So once again, this is our preliminary workings. We don't anticipate any drastic changes similar to last year, so we utilize the same system to keep things consistent. And as we move into Woodlands Middle High School, we don't typically provide sections because the process for course selection and such is still underway, but we do look at enrollment, and we did make clarity around the ungraded, so there might be a question about why that's different, just in terms of reporting. Ungraded were students who are alternately assessed. This year, we made sure that we coded them to their grade level their age grade, okay? And then now we can actually see that the students better in terms of the number of students who are in those classes. All right. So I do want to give kudos to all the support staff that helped with this, because especially with our special programs, it takes great care to have the necessary conversations to make these projections. And I hope Dr. Cabell, but right now Ms. Cabell and Dr. Daig, newly Dr. Daig, supporting in this, as well as Dr. Faruqi. So now I'm going to turn it over. I believe we have staffing next to Mr. Hanratty.
Thank you very much. So this here addresses the second question of, do we have enough certified staff of full-time employees to meet the growing needs of our students, and is there currently sufficient funding for the FTEs? You'll see the first column lists the vacancies for each of the positions listed in column number 1. We have 7 vacancies for teachers, 3 for teaching assistants, 5 for pupil personnel, and 1 administrator. These vacancies take into account retirements that have been reported to us, as well as unfilled and proposed vacancies that we are carrying over from the 25-26 school year into the 26-27 school year. We know of 2 potential transfers that are taking place for teachers, and that explains the difference in column 3 from the second column, which is vacancies. You have 5 differences for the vacancies for teachers. Since there are no potential transfers, it's 3. Carries over for personnel for 5, and administrators for 1. The good news is we do have sufficient funding for these positions, and there will be no impact on the budget for any of these positions for the 26-27 school year. I don't have the clicker.
You all set?
Yes. Let me just. Next is Ms. Shonda Merrill.
Thank you. All right. Good evening. Can you go to the next slide? Okay, so tonight I'm going to start out with our property tax cap formula. This slide here shows the OSC formula. That's the Office of the State Controller. And it's a little confusing looking, so we're going to break it down over the next couple of slides. Basically, the property tax cap formula is not a simple 2% limit. It involves a complex formula that includes a tax-based growth factor and also inflation growth. Next slide. So just a couple of things to go over before we actually, this is just to kind of have some graphics. The tax-based growth factor this year is 1.0226 for the 26-27 calculation. It is an increase of 0.0104 from the 25-26 school year, which is currently 1.0122. The allowable growth factor, or CPI, which is the rate of inflation, is the lesser of CPI, or 2%. Inclusions to the tax cap calculation include any available carryover from the previous school year, And we have exclusions to the tax cap calculation, including pilot payments, which are payments in lieu of taxes, debt service, and capital obligations. Those would include our energy performance contract lease, our ban, and our Southern Westchester BOCES capital expenses. So I'm just going to go over line by line how we actually calculate the tax cap. On the next slide will be an actual visual of how we put these calculations into play. So basically we start off with our last year's total levy, which are the actual taxes that were levied for the 25-26. Those were currently $69,758,625. Then we have the growth bonus. That's basically our tax growth rate. That's established by New York State Taxation and Finance. And again, we have each district has their own. It's calculated based on new construction and improvements in your town. So for Greenburgh, it is 1.0226. Again, that is roughly an increase, a small increase. Then we add our pilot payments for the prior school year. So our payment in lieu of taxes, pilot adjustments for 25-26 were $264,187. Then we subtract our prior year capital exemptions, which were currently $1,996,106 from the prior year. Just to avoid confusion, when I say prior year, I'm referring to 25-26 because we're currently working on 26-27. I don't want to cause any confusion. And then we go ahead and we multiply it by the inflation cap. Now this is where the 2% comes in. So currently we will be using 2%, 1.02. Because CPI is currently higher than the 2%. I believe it's estimated right now to be around 2.8 to 3% for next school year. So this gives us our base tax levy limit before any exclusions. The next step that we do is we take our pilot adjustments. So we subtract what we're estimating our 26-27 payment in lieu of taxes to be. The number that we're currently using is going to be $157,423. You will see that that is a considerable reduction from 25-26. And the reason for that is we currently, in 25-26, have 3 pilots, and one of those pilots is going to be coming off after this school year and going back onto the tax roll. So that is why we have a reduction there. We also have our carryover savings. Since the district managed its budget efficiently in the past, we have $433,287 in carryover funds that are added to the limit. And then we have our current year capital exemptions. So the way we calculate our exemptions is it's the net of our debt service plus our BOCES capital minus our state aid. So that number is currently calculated at $2,767,803. This brings our maximum tax levy limit to $74,038,983, which is 6.14% increase over the 25-26 school year. Next slide. So basically this slide is an example of everything that I just spoke about. It shows you where where we're multiplying, where we're adding, minusing. It brings us to the bottom. On the right-hand side, you will see the 25-26 actual tax cap, and we increased it by 4.06 last year. This year, it hasn't been determined yet what our actual tax cap is going to be. We do know that the maximum is 6.14%. I would say similar to our current year, we probably will not be coming close to that maximum number, but that is to be determined. Next slide. Thank you. So now we're going to start off with our projected draft rollover budget. Basically, a rollover budget includes all costs and programs that were approved in the 25-26 budget, and we're going in to the budget development for 26-27 with the assumption that all of our programs and staffing levels are going to roll over. Again, there could be changes once we evaluate our needs, but to start off, we're rolling over with everything that we currently have in the 25-26 budget. Some of these items include salaries and benefits, debt service, contractual expenses, and transportation. So here's an example of our 26-27 projected draft rollover budget expenditures. Basically what you'll see is this baseline budget shows total expenditures of $87,254,089. Comes to an increase of 2.94%. The largest increases are in debt service, which rose by 43.1% due to planned capital obligations. We'll talk about that a little bit more on the next slide. This is a draft and expected to change once we evaluate some of our special education needs and remaining unknowns. Some of those unknowns continue to be state aid, general liability insurance, and student accident insurance, our capital interfund transfer, some of our EPC savings, since we haven't actually completed that project yet, and I need to do also an analysis and forecast for our interest income, sales tax, and tuition. Okay, moving on to 26-27 budget development for debt service. So we are continuing our EPC lease payment that was currently budgeted in the 25-26 budget. What will be new for 26-27 is we are going to have a band payment. So last May 2025, the district borrowed $3.250 million, which was part of an approved bond from 2023. The bond that was approved was for a total of $9,625,000. This May, we will be rolling that bond over to borrow an additional $4,750,000, bringing us to a total owed of $8 million, which is still below the approved bond of $9,625,000. I just want to emphasize that this is not a new bond. I don't want any misconceptions. This was an approved bond vote from October of 2023. Next slide. Wait, I think you missed revenue. Yes, no? Go back. Right there. Thank you. Okay, here we're going to talk about our 26-27 projected draft rollover budget for revenue. I did mention a few of these things in some of the prior slides. I'll just go over them again. Basically, our revenue projections, when you build a budget, your budget needs to balance. And what that means is that your revenue needs to balance with your expenditures. So using this example, I used an example of a 3.29% increase in our real property taxes. The one thing I do want to mention on this slide, for the state aid, because you're going to see a discrepancy in the next slide, and I want to explain why. So this is showing an increase of 11.53% for state aid, but actually what ended up happening was because of the delay in the state budget being passed, it wasn't passed last year until May, we actually ended up getting more money than what was projected. So the budget was actually built on the projected amount, and then in the end, we got more than what we thought we were going to get. So the actual increase for us is 9.3%, and we'll see that on a future slide in a second.
I'm sorry, we got less or more?
We got more. So you'll see that. So if you see here, it's showing that we only got $6,926,380. When the budget was finally passed in May, we actually got over $7 million. So this is showing a much larger increase, but the actual is 9.3% and not the 11.5. I just wanted to be transparent in case anyone picked that up. I'm not sure if anybody would have noticed, but I thought it was important. So again, on here we notice that our pilots have gone down considerably. I'm not sure if you're interested, but the pilot that will be coming off is Terry Hill. We will still have 2 remaining pilots, which is Greenburgh Housing and Fairview Housing, which consist of 2 properties. So the amount that the $157,423 is an estimate because we won't have the actual numbers until the tax rates are finalized, which usually isn't until August. Okay. And again, revenues may also change as we finalize our budget moving forward. Next slide. So here's where we're going to talk about the state aid, and this is what I was speaking to. If you look, we the 25-26 New York State approved state aid was $7,065,210. The projected run right now for 26-27 is $7,725,303. That is an increase of $660,093, totaling 9.3%. On the next slide, we're going to be talking about UPK a little bit. There's a few things I want to explain about that governor's proposal moving forward. We do see a reduction in our BOCES aid. I'm not quite sure that that's how it's going to end. I think our BOCES aid will probably come in higher than what was projected, but again, we have to wait and see. Our transportation aid went up slightly. Our building aid, I know we don't get very much for building aid, but it did go up 63.6% for next school year so far. Yep. Okay, next slide. All right, so here's where I want to talk about the UPK proposal. I'm not sure how familiar all of you are, but in Governor Hochul's proposal, she has proposed that in 2028-2029 school year, that districts must provide full-day pre-K for all 4-year-olds if the parent chooses to want to put them in. And for us, what we need to look into is space, because right now we are maxed out with our program the way that it is. So there'll be no cap of aid received or the number of slots districts may provide. It will be the greater of 10,000, and for us, we currently receive less than the 10,000. We're currently receiving $6,972.28 per pupil. That will increase, and that will increase starting in the 26-27 school year to $10,000 per pupil. The one thing that's important to know is that the program grants do not fully fund this program. So I think it's really important to note that the school district and the general fund does pick up about 50% of our UPK program. So we do get money from state aid, and we do also get some reimbursement from the county, but with those two figures added together, it makes up probably just less than 50% of what it actually costs us to run that program. The other thing I want to mention is they talk about increasing the aid to $10,000. What they don't talk about here so much is that there is a statewide amount that we currently receive this year of about $100,000. So that in Governor Hochul's proposal, that is not going to continue after this school year. So on the previous slide, you saw us getting an increase of about $140,000, but we're getting a reduction of $100,000. So overall, even though it said $680,000, we would only probably get about 40,000 additional dollars from what we currently get. We currently get about $539,000, and of that, $100,000 is from the statewide UPK money, and that's the money that they're not continuing, at least as of now. Something could change, I'm not really sure. Next slide. So these are just some of the next steps for the 26-27 budget development process. The superintendent will be presenting a proposed budget on March 10th, 2026. The superintendent will be making staffing recommendations, additions, subtractions, and we'll be looking for recommendations from the Board of Ed. We do currently have budget workshops scheduled for March 11th and March 14th. In a future slide, there'll actually be a timeline with the locations for that. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Chisholm. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Merrill. I do want to kind of jump in a little bit on something that was shared previously. I do want to note that Dr. Njoku and her team, we are working to finalize an RFP to go out to see how we can expand our UPK programming through the use of community-based organizations so we can try to maximize the dollars that are being offered. So that is something that we're working on doing now. But I wanted to kind of almost conclude thinking about some of the things that are considerations that factor into the budget as well. This can be a little scary, the first line there, but I'm just being transparent in terms of what it might look like. It doesn't mean we're doing reductions, but it could be staffing reductions, consolidations in areas of responsibilities, reallocation of staff or duties, those type things, or even replacements. That's something that is a consideration. Instructional programming design, so course offerings, special education. You were able to see how those numbers were increasing for grade bands, and what does that mean for even related services and the costs associated with that, and or transportation, whether they're in district or out of district. So those are some considerations to think about. Clubs, activities, athletics, all of those things are considerations. Instructional resources and curriculum. As we're thinking about additional IB courses, there's material that comes along with that, as well as professional development for teachers who are teaching international baccalaureate courses. So all of those things are considerations. I mentioned professional learning, but also our district initiatives and priorities. So what are we saying that's important to us? What we value, you'll notice what districts value shows up in their budgets. And so I wanted to make sure that I identified those things as considerations for budget development as well. And I'm going to turn it back over to Ms. Merrill.
We're almost to the end. So this is a timeline here of basically all of our presentations that we have coming up. As you can see in March, we have a very busy month in March. Tuesday, March 10th, as I said, will be the superintendent's proposed budget. Wednesday, March 11th, we have a budget workshop at RJB Library. Saturday, March 14th, we have a budget workshop, which will also be at RJB. We will be joint with the PTA. Tuesday, March 24th, we have an additional budget presentation, and then we move into April. April 14th, we have a budget workshop at Highview. Tuesday, April 21st, we will have a budget presentation and hopefully an adoption of our budget with our property tax report card. Monday, April 27th, we have a budget workshop here at Woodlands. And then we make it into May. May 5th, we have the budget hearing. May 12th, we have a budget workshop at RJB Library. And then we have our big final day on Tuesday, May 19th for our annual meeting and budget vote, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. This is basically a banner of what we just said. Our budget vote will be on Tuesday, May 19th from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. at the Woodlands Middle High School Gymnasium here at 475 West Hartsdale Avenue, Hartsdale, New York, 10530. Again, we have our budget email, You're welcome to send questions. If you have any budget questions or any information you're looking for, our email is budget@greenburghcsd.org. And that concludes our presentation. We'll open it up to questions now.
Thank you, Ms. Merrill and Dr. Chisholm and the team. Are there any questions from the Board of Education members? I see Trustee Warner moving his hand.
Very good. So I'm guessing here that looking at it, it looks like there's a slight decrease in enrollment. It looks like maybe some shifting over of special ed classes from Lee F. Jackson to Highview. So I'm looking at 2.94%, which as a rollover is probably not going to kill us. Okay. I know that there are possibly, are there any increases in headcount being contemplated?
When you refer to headcount, are you referring to staff?
Staffing, yes. Is our staff going to be flat? That was a rollover budget, right?
Correct.
So now you got to look and you got to go, well, okay, you're at 2.94%. You don't want to go too much over that. But you have certain needs, right? So I'm assuming that on the 10th, we'll find out what kind of compromise we have reached.
Correct.
Is there anything that we've already, are there any staff positions that we've hired partway through the year that will run into the next budget as full year expenses?
So administration is currently evaluating the needs of our students, and we will be presenting that information on March 10th to you.
Okay.
I don't have an answer for you today.
So what I will say is,
yeah.
for right now, though, how we are seeing it in terms of certificates.
We can't hear you.
I apologize.
I mean, we can hear you, but
I apologize.
the meeting can.
So at this exact moment, the way we're looking at it from the staffing reports, we don't see a need for an increase in certified staff. We might look at some non-certified staff positions based on some recommendations, but those are all things that we have to continue to factor out at this time.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more trustee questions? Trustee Valen? No? Trustee Long, you have a question? You're smiling? No? Trustee Mans has a question. Can you pass that one? Yeah, but I have a question after. Here. She's moving. Okay, here.
Okay, I had just a general question. Thinking about building aid, we've got a lot of projects going on, so do you ever anticipate that number to kind of go up?
Yes.
At some point? And if so, how does that process work?
Basically what would happen though is we have by December 31st of each school year to close out projects in order to receive the aid in the following year. So even though we're expecting to close out several projects, probably between now and December 31st, we're not going to see that increase in aid until the following. We wouldn't see it in 26, 27. At the earliest would be 27, 28, 26, 27, yeah, 27, 28. But as you know, our percentage of building aid is not extremely high, but any increase is better than nothing.
Do you have a range of the increase? Is it 1% of the total project cost, maybe 2%?
We average about 10%.
Okay.
Maximum of 10%.
How do we get the maximum, do we know? Or is it just their generosity?
That's our maximum. That's not a maximum for others. There are other districts that they get a lot more than us. So there's a lot of factors that go involved in how they calculate what our percentage should be. A lot of it has to do with like your wealth ratio and different things of that nature. But I definitely do see in future years it increasing because we're going to be closing out multiple projects. We did see an increase. I know 15 to 25 is not huge in the scheme of things, but it's more than what we had. in the current year. So we're happy with that.
Okay, my other question, there was a slide, approved aid versus projected aid. I just can't remember if it was for New York State.
Do you want me to go back?
Yes, please.
So this was the actual approved.
Yeah.
Sorry, this was the actual approved. You want me to go back to the one before this?
Nope, this is it.
Okay.
I had a question on, I think it was God, which one was it? I'm trying to read my notes. But pretty much the question was, because one of these changes, and I don't know if it was the pre-K, it was something. You have my question? Please, yeah, that's where I'm going.
Yep, sorry, I think we're thinking along the same lines, Trustee Mans. So this is the approved governor's run, and then in the slide, which is labeled the rollover budget revenue, you list the state aid amount, and I'm wondering, does the state aid amount include this $680,000 for UPK?
Yes.
In that revenue number? So you included the maximum, when right now we're projecting 65 students. So it could be less revenue we actually get. Hold on, is this the right one? Yes.
Yeah, this is the right one.
So that 798 change.
Right, but it's not broken out on this slide.
Right, but are you basing this on the maximum 68, or the projected 68 that the state is using for us as opposed to the 65 students that we project for UPK enrollment?
Correct. This is the actual projected state aid.
State aid.
Correct. You're talking about the $7,725,303.
Yes. So we're basing this on 68 students enrolled in UPK?
Well, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's part of it. And then the other piece is going back to that 7 million. What line was it when you said we got approved? What was it, 6, but we got to 7? Yeah, where's that one?
So here, if you look at the state aid line under
Yeah, that's
adopted for
Yeah.
25-26, you see $6,926,380.
So my question here is the fluctuation, the up and down. All right, so let's say we have approved the 6.9, we got the 7.8, whatever number it is. Is that typically the trend now? We'll start kind of low, but then end up kind of high? Does it fluctuate? How does that line
That's
item
the
number
trend we
work?
would like.
But does it happen is my question.
Not all the time. Here's what
All right.
happened last year. That's a little bit not typical of a year-to-year state budget. Normally, your state budget is approved around April 1st. So any changes in what you're being actually approved for compared to the projected are built into your actual budget. That's not what happened last year because they had the delay and they didn't approve the state budget until May. At that point, the budget had already been adopted, so you couldn't go in and change the revenue because it was already built in. So in May, when they actually finalized the state budget, we were approved for more than what was projected. So that's why you're seeing the difference of the 11.53 and the actual 9 because here it looks like we're getting much more because we started lower, whereas here, these were actual, like this was the actual approved amount, which was the $7,065,210, and our projected run is $7,725,303. And I just want to mention here, so if you look at the 25-26 approved aid for UPK, you see 539,256. It's important to note, as I mentioned earlier, that about $100,000 of that 539 is for the statewide universal UPK. And in Governor Hochul's proposal, she says that that is not continuing. So you do see an increase, but we're actually going to lose $100,000. So to me, it's not really a full increase. That is correct. Any other
Okay,
questions?
any other questions from trustees? I do have a few questions. One's for, I guess, Dr. Njoku with the enrollment and the budget on the projection. How do we budget on projection? Because, and I might, if I'm incorrect, correct me. If a family were to move in or out of the district, say a family of 5 with 3 kids, that could change those numbers, right, at any given time. Meaning the beginning of the year, in the middle of the year, month to month. And we do, have homes buying and selling at any given time. I know a home on my street with 2 kids in the elementary school just came, so your numbers just went up when they moved in, right? So how are we budgeting on projections?
Well,
is it by like how many kids came and left the year prior, or how do you do that?
We look at trends over, so with this particular projection is looking at rollovers, the expectation that everyone is going to move. But then in doing that, what we also looked at is trends over time. Is what we're doing making sense over time to kind of justify us using the rollover rather than using something like a survival rate, formula. We did do that last year. So last year, by doing the survival rate, by doing different types of projections, I found that the rollover actually satisfied what we need to do based on the trends. Now, if we find that something, you can't anticipate, something might happen where there is either a mass exodus for some reason or a mass intake of enrollment, then we would have to look at that and understand the why to see, could something like that potentially happen? I mean, last year we also looked at like birth rates too, and it kind of like had an idea of, okay, is there gonna be a level of change? So it wasn't gonna be for a little while. So we remained consistent with the rollover process.
Thank you.
And then within that process, just understanding that the section classes are built with a little room to allow for incoming students so that we can meet capacity contractually.
Okay, and there was a comment on registration?
Yeah, so pre-K registration was completed. So we had about 100 totaling, I think it's 101 or 102 students or so totals. I think we still have room for some, so I can get that to you, that exact number, but it's floating in my head. But the lottery had 65 spots for the UPK lottery. We had 64 students. One person went into another program. So right now they're a little moving around because some students that were in UPK were eligible for Head Start. So there's different placements happening, but we typically keep those capped amounts and stay pretty consistent with it. Last year I think we were at we estimated 134, 136, and we had 139 this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that went up. That went up from 134 to 136. Good. Yeah.
But not for UPK. It was under either the Head Start program or the special ed that allowed for it.
Great.
It was either the Head Start or the special ed. It's in one of those two.
The 3-year-olds.
Head Start. Yes.
3-year-old is 3 and 4 are Head Start, and then UPK is 4 only. It means universal; anyone can go, right? Okay. Next question is this is for Ms. Merrill, I presume. Where can I see the line-by-line budget? I know in the past we've had different meetings, workshops, budget presentations, and we get a literal line by line. It has all those numbers, those lovely decimal system, and it tells you by building, you could see how much each, dollar, down to the dollar, is paying for each thing in each building, and then you can.
There will be correspondence available moving forward, starting with the superintendent's proposed budget. And then there are different timelines and workshops that will be presenting stuff. And we are required to produce a budget book. And the budget book is probably the most detailed form of information for anybody who in the community that wants to see it, and that's made available to the public the day after the budget is adopted by the board.
So prior to the budget adoption, when can we see, is it possible that you would make the line-by-line budget available?
Absolutely.
And it has, like I said, that number, it has I forget the number system you guys call it, but it has all the numbers on it. You can tell like what account it came out of and
Budget
where.
codes.
Budget codes, thank
Yes.
you. Okay,
I would say in March, once we're rolling with our actual proposed budget, we'll be able to start providing reports that will break down the amounts in the different budget codes.
beautiful, thank you. Lastly, this is also for Ms. Merrill, where can we see the budget meaning what's was budgeted versus the actual expenditures? So right now we're in 25, 26. Where can is there a place that we can see that?
Are you referring to the appropriated status, budget status report?
I don't know if
think
that would
so.
qualify for the question that I'm asking.
I'm pretty sure in the monthly treasurer's reports, correct me if I'm wrong, Amy, we do present, is this not what she wants? I know, I see Chris, trustee
I'm
Ballard
sorry,
shaking her head.
she makes comments. I'm trying to understand what she was saying.
I mean, normally an appropriation status report is basically a budget status report, and it is a year-to-date snapshot that is included with the treasurer's reports monthly, and it's in board docs. So I
Yeah,
would say
so
that
not-
would be a great place to start.
So not that, because we have access to that, but where can, when I say where can the public find an actual versus a budgeted list?
Well, on the district website under budget, you will be able to see the actual budget for 25, 26. And then I would say if you wanted to see year-to-date expenditures, you would want to look at the appropriation status report for the general fund, because the general fund is the budget that is voted on by the public.
And how would a public person get a hold of the appropriated status report?
Is it not public in board docs? I
So-
think it's public in board docs.
So they can go on board docs and look at the report, and thank you.
Correct. Like tonight, we will be presenting a treasurer's report. Amy, just refresh my memory. What month are we reporting? January? Oh, December. So tonight's, in board docs, you will see an appropriated status report through December 31st. So that would show budgeted amounts on it. It would show expenditures and encumbered funds. Encumbered funds, we know, are funds that have purchase orders have been created to set aside those funds because they're anticipated to be spent.
Okay, thank you. I think that would be helpful. That is it.
Okay, any
For
other
me,
questions?
any other questions, trustees? No? All right, let's move on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, trustees, I'm going to ask us to return to the stage, and our next item is going to be our policy presentation.
Okay, policy presentation. Tonight we are presenting some policies that were reviewed by the board at the February work session, presenting them to the public. I will note that there was very lengthy discussion on some of these policies at the work session. Admin and legal are actively working on incorporating some of those suggestions. So the policies as presented tonight may be edited between now and the March regular meeting, at which point they may be presented to the board for approval. Those edited policies will be updated on board docs by our district clerk as those edits come in. So just FYI. The policies being presented to the board this evening are Policy 1620, Annual Organization Meeting, Policy 3311, Notification of Disclosure of Employee Disciplinary Records, Policy 5572, the Audit Committee and the corresponding Audit Committee Charter, Policy 6214, Incidental Teaching, Policy 7220, Graduation Requirements, 7221, Participation in Graduation Ceremonies and Activities, 7223, Makeup Credit Programs for High School Students, 7225, Advanced Coursework. Again, these will be considered for board adoption at the March 24th, 2026 meeting. Copies of these policies are available in the district clerk's office, at the school buildings, and district website on board docs. All comments concerning any of these policies can be submitted in writing to the Board of Education at board@greenburghcsd.org. I'm just going to make one quick note. If our district clerk, as the policies are edited, if they could be labeled as an edit so that we know that the change has been incorporated since we published these. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Valen. Any comments, questions from board members? Yes, Trustee Alon.
If any of the policies are edited, will there be a notice that comes out to the trustees to alert us to that edit?
Yeah, we can request that.
Thank
Make
you.
sure to give us that notice. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll move on. Is there any introduction of new hires? Patricia, any new hires? No? Okay. Now we don't have our ex officio student here. I'm going to table board president's report. In the essence of time, it's already 9:51. Then we have our superintendent of school report, Dr. Chisholm.
Good evening. I will be very brief. The first thing I just want to share is I just want to say a huge thank you to our entire school community for their patience and understanding with the snow days. I want to thank the administrators, our union leaders, our cabinet. We were in constant communication throughout the weekend, throughout the last few days, very early mornings, and collaborating to assist with making the best decision in the interest of our students, our families, and our teachers, our staff. I want to also publicly acknowledge Frank Gunn of Yellow Bus and Dennis Pugliese, our directors of facilities. They were here over the weekend, the last 2 days, overnight, first thing in the morning to clear our campuses, to make sure our buildings were in good working order and conditions. And Mr. Gunn really was working to make sure that we had appropriate staffing for the buses so that students got here safe this morning. And so I want to publicly acknowledge the two of those. They're phenomenal. I also, in the spirit of speaking of snow days and emergency closures, just share with the community that we are reworking and revisiting our plans for should we need to pivot to remote learning. I just want to make sure that the community is aware of that, so be on the lookout for any communications in the future around and that piece. But I also want to implore families, parents, especially if you may be missing any of the notices or notifications that are going out during these times, that one, making sure, even staff, that your contact information is correct, updated in the system. It is very important that all of this information gets to everyone in the community in a timely fashion. And so that's just a gentle reminder that if you've moved, changed your number, anything like that, to make sure that that's been updated with the school or the school district. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Chisholm. Is there any questions, comments? No. Here, moving forward, we're going to look at the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum report, Dr. Njoku.
Thank you. Good evening. Wanted to make a quick announcement around the National Society of Black Engineers Junior NSBE chapter. During a previous board meeting, our relationship and partnership with the Links was approved. We recently found out yesterday that Greenburgh is officially reinstated with NSBE Junior chapter. Yes, so that's a good thing. The reason why this is great is that now we are fully able to do the kickoff for this program with our young people. The kickoff will be held on Wednesday, March 4th. Just as a reminder, NSBE Junior program is designed to inspire students of color to excel in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, to develop leadership skills and explore pathways to future careers. If you saw within the partnership agreement, there are very detailed and specific activities for our students in grades 9 to 12. And this work is under the advisement of Mr. Washington, and Dr. Joe Foy has been supporting with this as well. We want to thank Dr. Chisholm for making this connect so that we can actually have this reestablished. Also, the Education Committee meeting that is scheduled for tomorrow, Thursday, February 26th, is canceled. Our next meeting will be on Thursday, March 19th at 7 p.m. in the Woodlands Middle High School Innovation Lab. The focus will be on the middle of year data, so a data walk there, and hoping to take a look, use some time specific around SEL aperture results, so Mr. McCoy will be present to share those details. And finally, I'm just going to pass around a great project. It's great to, we hear our young people speak in public, and now we can see some work that they actually created. So just passing around this Time for Kids project, digital project that our young people did. There's more, but this is one piece from RJ Bailey. But these projects included ebooks, book clubs. It was student-driven and project-based. So just so the board can see some of the work and product of our young people. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Njoku. I'm so tired and tongue-tied. Does anyone have any questions, comments? Trustee Mans?
Okay, here. Where's feedback? It may have been. Okay, that was my cell phone. Sorry, guys. Dr. Njoku, so it's Black History Month, and I look forward to this month because normally we have a lot of things going on with the district. That was not my phone. That's not my phone. Okay. All right. I just feel like this year I didn't see that much going on. So do you think, I don't know, maybe we didn't get enough communication or things weren't planned? I do feel like year over year, a lot of things are planned at the end of the month. So I don't know if maybe the weather kind of came in the way, but how can we do better next year? Because I feel like we're in a climate now where a lot of cultural things are being erased, and we don't want to lose focus on such a short month.
I believe you said it in your statement there in terms of the planning, because typically it is a lot of the work is done during the beginnings of the months to then celebrate towards the ending of the month. I believe RJ Bailey has their celebration coming up. Within the Woodlands Middle High School, I believe there was quite a bit of celebration and things that were being planned. We received a lot of invitations to different planning of items. But in terms of, how we can do better, I think it's about planning. I think at the level from the district perspective, we would have to revisit and have conversation about, the allocation of time, and just to make sure that it actually comes to fruition. So all that planning can actually be, end up with an event that is successful. But at the different levels, they do have incorporated into their school day activities and such, but I understand the community events. There are some signature events that people do look forward to, and we just want to make sure that we have the necessary conversations to plan it out, that the individuals participating also are not overwhelmed with other things, to ensure that logistically things are mapped out. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just to tag on to that, I do have a question that's not in this topic, but I do want to tag on to that. I think you're talking more, Trustee Manns, about Woodlands Middle High School, right? So are all the schools doing some sort of celebration, whether it's for Black History Month or Lunar New Year, or like when we have certain cultural events and celebrations, are they building specific? Is it an expectation of the district or of the curriculum to do something, at least one thing in every building? How does that get addressed?
Well, within the district, excuse me, historically, there are, as I said, signature events that the community expects. So there are things that happen annually. I believe that specific to Woodlands, there was a wonderful, what do you call it, celebration of, thank you, Black History Month celebration in the auditorium. There was a career day where myself went into classrooms and was able to share with students. Those are very large undertakings, and from my understanding from the messaging that I received, that logistically it was a challenge. It wasn't an easy decision to make in terms of being able to execute it. So, and even with that, the additional activity that they proposed, which was the trip to the African Museum in Washington, D.C., has to be postponed as well due to this weather. So things are not foreseen, but in terms of the other buildings, the typical events that happen annually for the public is what we expect to see each year. And then usually the months we celebrate, like Women's History Month, within the classroom, there is an expectation that they're sharing, around those highlighted monthly events.
Okay, any more questions or comments?
I just, again, just going forward, just to make people aware, we have a whole month to celebrate things. We don't have to do everything at the end of the month. That's just my thing. Because even as, when my children were in two different schools, it was hard. One school would have something one day, another school the same day, around the same time. It was hard to maneuver. Mm-hmm. So it'd be nice just to kind of see things spread out throughout the month, celebrating all the cultures, as opposed to, again, at the end. So that could help with executing things, I think. And again, we talk about parent involvement. Well, to get more parents involved, I think it'd be better to kind of, if we could, just spread things out throughout the month instead of waiting, boop, at the end. So.
And I think involvement, like speaking directly to the buildings, to have those conversations, to reach out about how to support them in this with the PTA, with other, are there actually committees that maybe can be supported by the community? I think that would also be of help too.
Right, which makes me think. Now, if we were doing that, I'm thinking about Trustee Warner and community engagement. Is that the proper time to start communicating these things to the community, to get involved, to assist, to make these things happen? Does that make sense, Trustee Warner, or no?
Well, I would say in terms of,
How are we, I think it's a little deeper than just, I don't want to say simply a CEC meeting, right? But it's the engagement that we're having with intentional partnerships and creating those things in the community. I've dealt with organizations, not here clearly because I just got here, but organizations that are drummers, right? And so how are they doing drumming classes, or how does that show up in an assembly? So I think it's being intentional about who are those folks in the community too that can come and not just help us showcase, but also teach our students some things around the culture and those pieces. So it's a both and, but I think it could be a little bit deeper when we look at who are leveraging our capital, social capital here in the community.
Thank you, Dr. Chisholm. I'm just going to say, curriculum-wise and event-wise, I do think it would be helpful. We have a million things that we talk about as board members, and we have no more time. We are all exhausted with our meetings, so I know you guys as administrators are exhausted, but maybe that could be something on your to-do list to kind of streamline. I know Trustee Valen had just pulled up. It looked like all the Black History celebrations were February 27th. Why? I don't know. Italy F. Jackson, Black History Month IB celebration. R.J. Bailey, Black History Month IB celebration. Woodlands Middle High School IB. So it's like they're all, maybe it's a typo, I don't know, but it seems to all be scheduled, as Trustee Manns is saying, at the end of the month.
Highview's the odd man.
Highview. When was Highview's?
24th.
Last week of
yeah. So if we look at the I'm in agreement in terms of
just for the
having
future,
having the conversation. But I also think that because it's the month, typically you're preparing and the learning is happening in the beginning and it culminates at the end. So just in terms of honoring that month, I can see that as being the pattern and the preparation and practice that's needed for a culminating activity. So just taking that into consideration. But again, having the conversation is always helpful for improvement.
Okay. Yeah. And the last thing I wanted to, because you talked about the NSBE Junior, I think it's great for 9 through 12. My concern, I'm on my third kid here that's moving up. Second is leaving, so going from elementary to secondary, I definitely see that there are some holes in thank you, our students get to secondary. And, some students, which is great, maintain their love of learning. But there definitely are some holes that I think the Woodlands Middle High School staff does really, really well to try to encourage kids to get back to. But that, when we see ECP and they're like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and they're loving to learn, that science, math, engineering piece, I don't know, how do we strengthen that really in elementary? How do we give that support, that wraparound, that encouragement, so that when they get up to Woodlands Middle High School and then in grades 9 through 12, they can continue to believe in themselves, continue to think like creative thinkers and not kind of suppress their love of learning. Question in there? I don't know if I have a question. But how do we strengthen elementary science and math? That's what I'm wondering.
I like to start, with looking at the data, having conversations about what the desired outcome is, and then we have to revisit the curriculum and see ways where we can improve it while meeting the standard expectations. So it's going back, and that's why there usually is curriculum reviews, because it shouldn't be stagnant. That's why they usually have it 3 to 5 years. You're going back and you're revisiting it to refresh it, right? So. But even with that, similar to what I stated, what I shared with R.J. Bailey, the projects, having project-based, student-driven work, that's what you saw with the Times article that the students made. And they also had a digital book where students, it's very cute, students had podcasts, so letting their creative juices flow through content-related activities.
This is wonderful. Can the board get a copy of this?
Definitely, I'll add it to my report.
I know I'm putting you on the hot seat, but you did say curriculum review.
Yes.
Makes me think, is that for you to do, or do the principals do that in every building?
Well,
is that who does a curriculum review? And then, where are you hearing from parents so that you hear from, I'm a parent, our seat, what our child is communicating as far as, like I said, the love of learning or their understanding and their engagement in, when I'm talking specifically about science and maths, but are the parents involved in seeing how that works and how the curriculum review is? Is it a principal doing that? Is it like your office? Like who?
It's my office.
Okay.
Who spearheads, if we were talking about looking at curriculum as a whole, because you have to make sure that its progression is seen, we're meeting the standards. It's a district-wide effort, and there's a plan. So one of my goals is having a 5-year curriculum review to identify the subject areas that we will be reviewing each year. But then at the building level, they do look at ways to adjust the curriculum adjust maybe a little bit of how they're doing it to bring it to life and to so say, for example, in the interim. So in the interim from we create the curriculum. In the interim, before we get back to it again within another 3 to 5 years, the school buildings, they won't change it, but in terms of adjusting it with these projects, things to make it, I can't think of words right now, I don't know why. Yeah, thank you, to make it real world, to make it, and they're actually doing that right now. So soon you will see that there is a group who's interested in just taking a look at the sciences to make sure that, so you'll see that coming up as we are moving towards a more larger curriculum review plan.
Thank you, Dr.
So I hope that
Njoku.
makes sense.
Put you on the hot seat tonight. I didn't plan any of these questions.
These
It
are
just
all
came
good
up.
questions because the work doesn't end. So the feedback is always good. It can help us reflect. So there are no, challenging questions.
Wonderful. Okay, next we have this. I'm sorry, were you done with your report?
I'm done with
Okay. Any other questions, comments? No? Okay. Assistant Superintendent for Business Report and Treasury Report.
Thank you. Before I introduce our treasurer to give the treasury report, I just had one statement that I wanted to make. Two, actually. I want to mirror what Dr. Chisholm said by thanking our facilities department and our transportation department. They did work tirelessly through this storm, and the roads, I only really saw the roads here on Pat Capone Road. I can't speak to the other campuses, but I'm sure they were just as good. They did an amazing job here on this campus. The other thing that I want to mention, though, because as driving in tonight, you probably saw some really nasty potholes. So we have been fighting these potholes for some time now. We fill them, and then a storm comes, and the snowplow empties them out again. So just be careful out there, especially in the dark. We will be filling them again, but again, we're not done with the snow. So it's just like an endless battle to try to keep these potholes filled. But if you hit them just right, they could do some damage to your car. So I just want to mention that everyone should be aware of the potholes here on our campus, and just be careful, especially in the dark. All right, without further ado, I am going to introduce Miss Amy Ashley Moore, our school district treasurer, who will be giving her report for the December 2025 treasurer's report.
Good evening, everyone. The December 2025 treasurer's report is as follows. The general fund beginning balance for December 2025 was $37,917,632.25. The district received a total of $2,067,323.70 in receipts. In addition, the district issued $3,462,787.92 in payroll checks, and then $5,184,699.68 in accounts payable distributions, as well as $1,017,624 in due from other funds. The ending balance for the general fund was $30,319,826.45. And for the month of December, the district issued 932 payroll checks and 203 accounts payable disbursements. All of these disbursements were audited by our claims auditor. That's the end of my report. Is there any questions?
Trustees, are there any trustee Mans?
Yes. On average, how much per month are we dispersing? I'm just curious.
So that could vary, but if you look at each of the treasurer's reports, it's pretty much in the same range of the $3 million. Sometimes it depends upon if there's ERS payments that need to go out. It could depend upon an increase in maybe a Con Edison bill. But for the most part, we're pretty much in the same range. And in terms of cash flow, we always look at that because we want to make sure we have enough money.
That's where I was going.
Yes. So we pay attention to that very, very closely.
Yeah, because we started with 37, we're dipping down to 30. Is there going to be a bump at some point between your next report, which will be what, January to?
Yes, you will see, because we do have our STAR reimbursement that we received. So that's a pretty good amount, and you'll see that in the next report.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Thank you. That ends my report.
I'll just mention really quick, too, that a big month for state aid for us is March. So we should see an increase in revenue considerably in the month of March. That's pretty much typical. Thank you, Amy. And that concludes my report. Oh, we have another question.
Yeah, because.
Trustee Mans.
All right, so this bump is supposed to happen in March. Do you have an estimate or a range of what that amount could be?
Not on me right now off the top of my head, but yes, we do somewhat know what we're expecting because it's cyclical, right? And they've already told us what our state aid amounts are, so that's something that Amy and I could look into and get back to you. Absolutely.
Any other questions, comments? Trustee Warner? No? Okay. No? All right. The only thing I did hear trustees wanting to say when we talked about the potholes is to remind folks that this is a private road, even though the public uses it, and we are responsible for fixing the road. But also sometimes we have folks through the road and coming through campus even during the school day when students are here learning. And yeah, and drive at your own risk. So it is important to state that. Okay, any other questions, comments on our reports? No? Next we have our board discussion for the board to look at 2 items we have here. Yes, 2 items, and have a public discussion about 2 things. The first is our tennis court recommendations. We have built our new tennis courts. Our facilities committee did a prioritization of projects and on that list, and then we decided what we were going to do. I think it was about 2 years ago now, and then last year it was completed, and the tennis courts were one of the many things we worked on. And now that it is complete, we had a grand opening, and that was wonderful, and our students were able to use it. And now we are looking at tennis court recommendations from our administration. Dr. Chisholm, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. So one of the things that I said that I would have is recommendations for the public use of the tennis courts. Now that they're completed, well, we got a few more things to finish up out there, but now that they're pretty much completed, and we do have recommendations. The first thing is, just a short answer is, the tennis courts will be open for public use. There are some things around that, and I'll give it briefly. The first thing is around eligibility and season of use. So because we are still on a campus, a closed campus, public access to the district's tennis courts first will be limited to residents of the unincorporated Greenburgh. So we want to make sure that that's clear. The academic school year for tennis courts will be tentatively the August 21st to June 25th, which is the last day of school, whereas the summer dates would be the June 26th through August 21st. And we're saying August for the school year because that's when the sports teams start to come back and athletics season has started. So we do have some planned hours for what it will look like during the academic school year versus tennis season for the students versus campus events. And so that will fluctuate for the public use around those specific items or those dates or those events. Whereas in the summer, it'll pretty much be open play for the community. However, the open play is now point number 2 due to registration and access. So this is still being completed in terms of who do we contact, who they go to, what number to call, what email. So we're getting all that stuff finalized, but residents, should be completing a one-time registration through the athletics department. And at that point in time, they're providing their proof of residency and any contact information. Once they're verified, then they'll use whatever system we decide to utilize to reserve the courts in a 1 to 2 hour block, just so we can make sure that we're accommodating everybody that may want to use it through an access code that might be approved at that time. Communications and updates. So regarding updates for the court access, scheduling adjustments, or procedural changes, those will be communicated whichever system is utilized for registered users. Those registered users will receive that information based on the contact information that they have provided us at that time of registration. Some of the other things that have come up, I know we still have some signage to put up for the courts, but just to give some examples of part of the tennis court etiquette, one is, if you reserve the courts at that time, that is your time. You're not holding the doors or propping it for anybody else to come in because you cannot confirm or deny whether or not they have made reservations for tennis courts. Footwear, no dogs, all of those types of things. So that will be put into signage and posted on the tennis courts as well. The other thing too is keeping in mind that this is a school campus, and so e-cigarettes, tobacco products, alcohol, all of those things will be banned from the premises. And I have to say that because of how our soccer fields were used this summer when I got here, and people grilling and having a good old party time at night. So we want to be very clear. And those are the recommendations at this time for tennis court usage.
Okay, so this is a board discussion. I'm going to open up to the board. I see Trustee Warner moving your hands.
Yes.
Would you like the floor?
I would just like to add that I've looked at the recommendation in draft form. I would emphasize that you probably should include in the signage, play at your own risk. Okay, that's it.
I don't want to ignore Trustee Jacobson. Did you want to make a comment at all or participate in the discussion? I don't want to ignore you. I'm sorry.
I think we're still looking at who's going to be the one holding all of this information and answering requests. I just want to be mindful of people's capacity and having backups to that, just to make sure that it is relatively seamless and it isn't relying on one person, because I think that could make it tricky.
I agree. I want to give everyone an opportunity to participate in the discussion. I mean, this is a pretty big deal. I heard from a parent over the break prior to the snowstorms with concern about what I'm going to call the respect in general for our district and for, I guess, the facilities at our district, the different amenities that are there, and the fact that, people have used skateboards on our tennis courts in the past. She was really concerned and saying, in many of the other districts, that's not an issue because people don't disrespect the property that way. They just wouldn't do that. But here we have people letting dogs off leash to use the bathroom on our fields and not cleaning up behind themselves because the kids end up stepping in it. And dogs are prohibited in general at all completely, but not only are they not following the dog being there, they're not following the dog being there and taking them off leash and not cleaning up behind them. So the level of, I'm calling it disrespect. This is not what the parent called it, but I'm saying it's disrespect, whether it be our campus or some of the other locations that we have school buildings. So I don't know how other trustees feel or what they want to say about it, but she did share that to me over the winter break. Yes, Dr. Chisholm?
Thank you. I just want to share something else, and I think this is important to note too. One of the etiquette things is no lessons allowed. So our courts cannot be used for privatization or monetization. It is strictly for public community use or students. So I just want to be clear on that.
Okay, Trustee Valen, were you going to say something? I saw you take the mic.
I was just going to say thank you to our administration for finding a way to strike the balance between serving the public and serving our students. And because we're mentioning incidents that have happened in the past, we are vigilant. We do try our best to ensure that our facilities are used in the most proper way, but we can't be everywhere all the time. So we are trying to put in place measures. Administration is trying to create these measures so that our newly revamped facilities are being used in the most equitable way and in a way that ensures that any warranty we may have on these facilities will remain in place. So I think we all have to rely on each other, to police each other, to do the best we can with the resources that we have available to us so that we don't have to take draconian measures to guarantee the warranty on the work that we're doing right now. That's all. Thank you for your work.
Are there other trustees that want to chime in? I do have a question. What happens if someone is breaking a rule? Is there like a reporting structure? Are people just calling the athletic director's office and leaving a message? But sometimes we have on-site security. You know, I know in the afternoons there are security officers, guards, aides that are all kind of monitoring the gym and the sports facilities. Are people to report concerns to them? What, you know, or maybe that's not consolidated yet and you want to make,
No, we do
put
have
that in
a point to that here as a written piece stating that it is the responsibility of all players to follow the rules and regulations and that how violations can be reported. Just like they say, if you see something, say something, and especially if you want to utilize the courts, we want to make sure that you say something too, that if you see something that's not proper. We are working on a website right now, not a website, but an email. Right now is Mr. McCoy's email, but until we have one where it could be checked by a few different people in case he's not available for reporting of violations. We also have the cameras that are there. So if we find something that occurs, we can identify that person because we know who's had that space at that time or that block. So we also reserve the right to revoke access to individuals if they are found to be in violation or not respecting and protecting the property. So those are some measures too.
Okay, any other trustees? I don't want to close the discussion without giving everyone an opportunity. No? No? Oh, Trustee Warner?
Thank you. Thank you for opening up the courts.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay. Next, I'm going to close this topic and go to the next discussion, which is E2, the calendar. We have 2 calendars that have been proposed by our superintendent, and I expect to hear from all 7 trustees on this one. What?
I have nothing to say.
What? Okay, I don't believe that. Okay, we have draft 1 and draft 2. I don't know if, are the public able to see these calendars? No? Okay. So there's some, I mean, depending on your point of view, might be major, minor differences in the 2 calendars. One starts earlier in the year and would require some agreement.
And an MOA with
MOA, right. Memorandum of agreement. Another starts after September. What else? One has a longer break in the holiday season. One has a shorter break in the holiday season. One has 2 days off. What holiday is this? Oh, around Passover. One has 1 day off. Both have, huh? Okay. One has 2 days and one has, yeah. And then both have school ending on June 24th for students and 25th for staff.
If I may, is that President Mayor?
Yes, sure.
I also want to be very specific with one starting students on September 1st versus starting, which is a Tuesday, versus starting students on a Thursday, September 3rd. So that's important to note as well.
Yes. I was being big. Yes, so one starts staff earlier in the school year and later, and then the students, right, September 1st or 3rd, but both end on June 24th.
Correct.
Everyone's being very quiet, so I'm not sure why.
Are we anticipating that this, are we anticipating a recommendation for the March work session for
Yes.
approval?
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't think it might be.
We are anticipating a March work session recommendation for approval, and then the calendar will be public. Trustee Jacobson, do you have anything to say about the calendars? I'm gonna start picking on people.
I think, excuse me, sorry, I think I had said it last meeting. That for me in particular, I acknowledge that there will be 0 calendars that will make 100% of people happy. Like that is not a real thing. That being said, I was concerned last year about the 2 weeks in December. It was like it was going to be looked at as a precedent. And so draft 1 bothers me because of that, because Christmas isn't until Friday, and I feel like it is quite a long break considering that. Right now, I like draft 2 better because Pittsburgh break is more manageable and we start in September. I think the only thing I would like to see, if it is possible, to make December 23rd a half day, similar to the way the Wednesday before Thanksgiving is a half day. I mean, I'm hoping that that wouldn't be like a massive shift, but understand that the administration has put a lot of work into both of these. But right now, I don't really see the benefit of the first draft.
Thank you, Trustee Jacobson, for being so talkative about it, because everyone else has been, but they're being quiet now. So I'm going to just start calling on people. Trustee Warner, what's your thoughts on the calendars?
Well, I have difficulty in making preparations for the holidays, and so I'm kind of on the other side of the fence, and I feel like I'd rather start the students on Tuesday at September 1st and have a little longer holiday break. So I'm on draft 1.
Okay. Trustee Long, what is your viewpoint on the calendars? And by the way, you just heard 2 trustees give their particular calendar that they prefer. There is no pressure to do that. You may have a different comment that does not involve picking a calendar that you like. I don't want you to have that pressure, unless you want to.
Last year's calendar conversation is still really fresh. Does the administration have a preference over these 2, or are they kind of equal?
What I will say is, we would have to come back as a cabinet and maybe as a committee to have to get more detail, but when the committee met, these are the two that we were okay with, whatever the decision it was or is. So I can also go back and meet with cabinet so that we can, as a collective, say which one that we would prefer.
I am in agreement with Trustee Jacobson that no calendar will please everyone. However, I disagree in that opening the door to one little change in the two that were already agreed upon is exactly how we started last year. So I will vote on the recommendation that you guys would prefer.
Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Mans.
I'll start off by saying thank you for putting these together, and I'm neutral. That's it. No, seriously.
Okay. Trustee Sambalayo.
I heard that.
I will also say thank you, but I'm not a fan of either of these. What does concern me is our new staff teacher academy. When did you say that was in August?
I believe Ms. DeAndro says she does that on August 24th.
Oh, the 24th?
Yes.
Okay, I thought it was like much earlier.
No.
Okay. And thinking about the new staff that has to come in to do the new teacher academy, I'm not really sure what the name is, but that's what I'm going to call it.
Orientation.
Orientation, new teacher orientation on the 24th. Looking at draft 2 to then have a significant amount of time. It's several days more than I would feel comfortable if I was a new teacher. There's pluses and minuses to both. So I will probably vote on the recommendation of the cabinet and the superintendent.
Trustee Valen.
Okay, I'll say this. Again, thank you. We know this is hard to do. I agree with Trustee Jacobson. We're not going to please everybody. I will respectfully disagree with Trustee Along. I do want to tweak a little thing. I do think a 2-hour early dismissal on the 23rd, if we go with draft 2, is something to consider. Just to consider people's travel plans as best we can. Again, I will go with the recommendation of the administrative team via the superintendent, but I will state that if you recommend the longer break, perhaps there's a way to have a conversation with some of our community partners just to give them a heads up so they can consider putting in place some sort of activities to help our parents with younger children who may need some childcare services. While it's good for we adults sometimes to think about how we're planning the holidays, sometimes having young children underfoot can put a damper on that. Yeah, there's no right answer. There's no good solution for everybody, so good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so you heard from the board as a whole. I have shared with you, and I've shared before, I am not a fan of the 2-week break. My kids are now older. I am fine with childcare, but I do worry about students having good continuity and continuing their education. I like more professional development days. And just time for the adults in the schools to be with one another and plan for our students and learn for our students. I guess this leaves us with 180 school days, but we could have gone higher. So that's all. I just wonder if there's a way, or would have been a way to do that. But I do say with everyone, how everyone would say thank you, because I know this is a lot of work. We got 2 drafts as opposed to 22 drafts, which makes me so happy. And just like some other trustees, I will vote with the recommendation. But I am very, very, very concerned about that 2 week setting a precedent, because it is 2 years in a row. And in this district, people think that that means it's always happens, always. And so it cannot always happen. That's it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there any other discussion about the calendars? Oh, Trustee Jacobson is gone. Is she? Oh, okay, she's there. Okay. Sorry. I thought we lost you. Okay. All right. Hearing nothing else, let's move on. Our next item, did I miss something? Yes, next item on our agenda are our regular meeting approvals. We have gotten here. It is now 10:39. Whew. Can I get a motion? F1.
I move that we approve the instructional personnel items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. F2, personnel non-instructional items.
I move that we approve the non-instructional personnel items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. And is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. F3, board action items. Can I get a motion?
I move that we approve the board action items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Item F4, business items.
I move that we approve the business items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Trustee Valen?
No, we skipped finance, we're going to go back to it, right?
Did I?
Yes.
It's not there.
We can vote on the business and go back to finance.
It's not there.
Let's vote on business.
So you don't have any discussion on the
On the
motion?
business? No.
Great. Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Item F5, pupil personnel services item. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the pupil personnel services items presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Trustee Valen.
There are finance? I have a motion to make, but I have a question for our district clerk. Currently, item 6 is locked. That has not been removed from draft, so we're not voting on that, correct? So it's not being voted on. Okay, then I move that we approve finance items J1 through J5 that are presented to the board for approval this evening.
Second.
Second.
It's properly moved in second. Any discussion? I have discussion. Why is that not on our regular meeting approvals?
That's the, we were waiting for the nicer.
Do you mean the section, or do you mean that item?
Yeah, but why is the whole section gone?
Oh, why is the whole section locked?
Under F, my regular meeting approvals, I have 5 items, but finance items are not one of them.
That's the Palumbo.
Under
But
F?
We had it hidden for.
Under F,
Until it
our
was
regular meeting
finalized and we
approvals.
got the final text.
Let me clarify for all of you.
Yeah.
We are not current, the question trustee President Mayers is asking is item J, finance items, is not listed in section F. In between board action items and business
Oh, I see
items,
what
there's
you're
a whole
saying.
section missing.
So
that
if
is
trustee
President
Valen did
Mayer's
not see that, I would have moved on with the
Thank you
meeting.
for that.
So, like, I just need to know why that's not there, because that's
Correct.
not okay.
But now it's on the motion for approval.
We're in discussion, so what's the question?
We're approving my motion? My motion was to approve finance items 1 through 5.
Okay, but does everyone understand that in F are all of our meeting approvals? And finance is not populated here for some reason. So I don't know if that's a technical issue. I'm not sure why that happened, but that can't happen because I can't follow there's no way for me to do that when running the meeting. So I'm glad Trustee Valen caught it, but, yeah. Okay.
The items are listed in that item, J6 is
It's not been
Yeah, that's locked, yes. Okay, so we're going to vote on items J1 through 5, and there's motion, it's been seconded. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. So let's move on to, I'm afraid to miss something. Business. Yes, I know, I just want to look through myself so I feel more confident. Closing items, item M1, new business. Is there any new business? Hearing none. M2, can I get a motion for adjournment,
I
please?
move we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We are now adjourned, 10:44 p.m. Thank you. Good night.
I just.